All right, hello again. So in this video, we're going to go over vectors a little bit. I know you saw these probably already before a little bit, and you're saying, Mark, why are we doing this again? But we're going to have some more, just a little more detail and some tips and things and some interesting things that will definitely come in handy for you. So you should have this, this file. I'm going to zoom in here. We're going to go left to right because we're all about Western society. Just kidding. Yeah. So let's make a thing. I'm gonna grab the pen tool. I'm gonna say P on the keyboard to get to the pen tool, or you can come up here right to the pen tool, and then I'm going to click and then click and drag. So remember that you've seen this before, I think, but if I click, it just makes a corner point or a no bend to it, and if I drag, I get Bezier handles. It sounds French, huh? It must be. So if I click and drag, let me zoom in a little bit. If I click and drag, it makes these little curves, right? So when you click, you drag, and the curve goes the opposite direction. You guys know all that already. Then when I get back to the beginning, you'll get a close icon like you kind of do in Illustrator, I think, in Photoshop and stuff like that. And then there you go. You've got this deformed swan. Yeah, I don't know what that is. And then I can hit escape or enter to get out of that mode. So a couple of shortcuts. You can hit escape or enter to get out of the pen tool. If I want to get into edit mode, I can hit enter on the keyboard, and then you can see all the points, right? And if I hit enter again, it goes back. So now you're just selecting the thing, right, as a whole. And then if I hit enter, I'm seeing all the points on the path. So just to back up a little bit, the paths in, let's make this a little thicker so you guys can see. So I'm gonna go over here to the stroke and put in, I don't know, 5. There we go. So we can see the ugly swan. Backing up a little bit. So vectors in Figma are a little bit different than they are in like Illustrator and other apps. Like in Illustrator and other apps, often you have open paths and closed paths. And it kind of likes, Illustrator kind of likes, Photoshop kind of likes closed paths. In Figma, they call them vector networks. What that means is I can easily go in, and if I go into edit mode by hitting enter, or I could double click it, other ways to do it too. But if I go to the pen tool, right, and I click on that and then I go like this, right, I'm now just connecting these guys. Let's see, I can do this. So I'm just connecting those paths. So it doesn't really matter even if I drew a new one. It doesn't really matter if it's open or closed. I could do this, right? And I can hit escape. And then I could hit enter, and I could get the pen tool again and do that if I want. So it doesn't matter. What I'm getting at is it's kind of a network like it sounds, right? It's a bunch of connected points and paths, not necessarily, there's not really this open and closed sort of paradigm as much. So I don't know if that makes sense, probably not. But it's a little different. So it allows you to do some different things that you normally wouldn't be able to do. So I just clicked on this guy here, right? Let me select it here. And if I hit enter, I'm back in edit mode. And if I click there, and I can with the pen tool, I gotta click with the pen tool, and then I can click and do something like that. And yeah, there you go. So I can add on to that in easier ways. That's not really the same as it works in Illustrator and Photoshop and stuff. So just a few things here. So there's edit mode when you get into these vectors, right? So like I said, you can hit the enter key, and then you see the points. You can also double click. So if I just double click this, I get back into edit mode. To exit, you can hit enter, or you can hit escape. You can hit escape. The bend tool, right? So I think we saw this already, but the bend tool, if I click on this or get into edit mode, and then I'm in move mode, right? So I'm clicking here. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. So I can move these points around, obviously, right? If I hold down Option, I get the bend tool, and the bend tool looks different depending on if you're over a path or a point. So you get that icon if you're over a path, you get that one if you're over a point. So if I'm over a point, like this guy, and I drag, I'm gonna get Bezier handles coming out again. So I can turn a corner into I just undid that with Command Z. I can turn a corner into a curve, or I can also hold down Option and Command, or that would be Alt and Control on a PC, and I get the kind of the cursor that you get in Illustrator, I think, the point conversion tool, I think it's called in Illustrator. And if I click on that, it gets back to a point. But I can always grab these guys with the move tool and move those around. And they all stay connected, right? Which is pretty cool. That's kind of a network thing. It's pretty interesting. You can copy points. If I hold down Option, and you'll see the cursor changes again. And I can go like that and do crazy stuff, like make this, I don't know, some sort of weird geometric problem going on there. So you can copy pens, and they're all just connected. That's another thing that I don't think kind of does that in Illustrator. If I move the pen, so if I go back to the pen tool, I'm gonna hit Escape and hit the pen tool. Well, I gotta get back into edit mode. And if I hit the P for the pen tool, if I click on one of these, it's gonna add that node, right? So I can add a point, and it kind of snaps to it, right? So if I get near it, it kind of snaps to it, and if I click there, I get another point, and I go like that, and I got another path, and I could just go crazy. That is pretty ugly. Oh, no, it's abstract art. It's not ugly. Anyway, so I think that's the basics of it, but we'll get into more. Well, let me show you a couple more things, and maybe we'll look at it again. Let me zoom in again. So if I hit Enter, right? Again, if I go over this and I hold down Option or Command or Control on a PC, I get the Bezier curves. Oh, this is what I was going to show you. If I do that again and grab, so that's mirrored, right? Those Bezier handles are mirrored. If I hold down Option on the Bezier handle, now I can break that mirroring, so that the curve can be one way on one side and another way on another side. I need to show you this too. Over here on the right, it says no mirroring. You can go no mirroring, mirror angle, or mirror angle and length. So you can kind of set that. So if I grab, let me hit done. Let me go back to edit mode. If I grab that, it says no mirroring right here. If I go to mirror angle and length up here on the right, it should change that guy. Well, no, it's doing, yeah, there we go. Now it's gone back. Anyway, so that's the basics of it. All right, so I'm gonna hit Escape to get out of that. And then I wanted to show you this increment strokes, which is a pretty cool thing. It saves you a lot of time. Little things can save you a lot of time, right? So I'm gonna hit O on the keyboard to just do a circle. And let's give it a stroke, right? So when you give it a stroke, it just gives you a 1 pixel stroke. And I haven't found a way to change that. There's not really a preference, which is kind of a bummer, as far as I know. You guys can let me know if you find something. But what you can do is you can go over here and select the stroke right here, right? And then if I use the up arrows, it increments. So you can hold it down and make the stroke bigger or make it smaller. That's pretty cool, right? So if I get to 30, and then if I hold down Shift, it goes up by 10 pixels. And it's actually using the nudge amount, which is my favorite band. If you guys ever saw Nudge Amount in concert, they are so good. No, that's not a band. If I go here and I go to Preferences, and then, so I go up to the menu, go to Preferences, and then down at the bottom is Nudge Amount right there. So that's it's just a number increment thing. So small nudge is 1, big nudge is 10. So that also works in movement. You knew that, right? So if I hold down, if I just click on this circle, and I go to the right and I go to the left, it's going by 1 pixel. If I go up, 1 pixel, down 1 pixel. If I hold on Shift, it goes 10 pixels, right? Because that's the nudge amount. So that also works in the stroke. So if I click on the stroke and I hold down Shift and hit up, it's 10, it's 40, it's 50, it's 60. Oh, it's a donut. Now I'm hungry. Although it's a black donut. I guess it's chocolate. But anyway, that works, right? So that's a pretty cool, fast thing to do. I wish there was a way. I don't think there is to get to this field without having to click on it, but whatever. You can't have everything, right? Can't have a donut, can't have that. All right, so arrows. So arrows again, I think we've seen these a little bit, but they're underneath, now I'm losing it, underneath the shape tools here, and there's an arrow, right? Shift L. So if I do Shift L, and then I drag and I hold down shift to keep it horizontal. I get this tiny little arrow, which only is 1 pixel. So that trick with the stroke works on the arrows too. So if I click here, hold down shift and +1, there, I got a 21. And if I hit minus or down arrow, I get exactly 20 pixel arrow. So that's pretty cool, right? If I hold down option and drag, just make a copy of this guy. So you can style the different ends of these arrows if you want. By default, well, I don't know what it is by default, I forget. But I can click on just this point, right? You gotta get edit mode. So I'm selecting the point, and you can tell it's selected again because it's solid versus hollow. Same as Illustrator, I think. And if I go over here to the advanced stroke settings right here, and I click on that, I can do, it's set to line arrow. I can change that to triangle. And then if I click over here, I could change this to triangle or whatever I want. Or I can make it not match, right? I could do line arrow that way. So you can style the ends of those arrows the way you want. And you can always still go in here with the pen and do that kind of thing. Whoa, that's pretty cool, right? I didn't even go with the pen, actually. I just went with the move tool in it, and it got that point for me. But I could get the pen tool and add more points if I want. And do all that crazy stuff, right? All the same kind of stuff. So that works with arrows too. I don't know why I did that. That's a goofy arrow. It's the crazy arrow. All right, so let's look at the ends. So I'm gonna do, also underneath there is the line tool. That's just L instead of Shift L. So if I just do L and drag horizontal, if I hold down Shift, right, it constrains. You guys know that if you hold down Shift, it constrains to 45-degree angles, right? Okay, so now I've got that, and I'm gonna make that a little thicker so you can see it using our trick with the click and the Shift up arrow. So that's the default arrow. If I hold down Option and drag, or the default line, sorry. If I hold down Option and drag, I can style the ends of this. Double click to enter edit mode, and then if I go over here, I can change the stroke ends. So I could change it right here, right? So there's round on that end, and there is a square on that end. So you're thinking like, what's the difference between square and none? So this is none. This is set to none, right? See that it says none, right? But this one is set to square. There we go, square. What's the difference? So if I look in there a little bit closer, you can see that if it's set to square, the stroke actually passes the point a little bit. The point of no return, I guess. And then if I look at this one, it ends at the point. So I'm not sure whether that'll come up or if it'll come up. Sometime when you guys are like 85 years old, you can call me and say, "Hey Mark, the thing came up with the stroke end." Probably not. Sorry about that. But yeah, so that is that. You can obviously do different ends, different ways, right? If let's grab this guy one more time, and I think we saw all the versions, but let's say, yeah, I think we saw all that. Let's do the joins next. I think we're good. Obviously, you could change, this could be round. We already did that round, and this arrow is a line arrow or something. Okay, that's good. Let's go over here and do some joins, what they look like. So I'm gonna hit escape because I'm still in that thing here. I'm gonna grab the pen tool and make kind of this thing. I'm gonna hold down Shift and then Shift again. That's 45, and then I'll let go of Shift and go up here to make this funky triangle thing. Right, so yeah, that's fine. And then let's make it a little thicker again so you guys can see. And for some reason that came up with different ends. It's kind of interesting on, maybe it's because I started there. But if I double click this to enter edit mode, if I click here and then I click here, you can see that the end is set to miter. So you got 3 ends. You got miter, bevel, and round for the stroke corners, right? So that one's set to miter. So let's set them all to miter. Let's go, and you don't have to do this individually. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. There should be, yeah. So that's what it looks like as miter. I guess they do look different depending on, that is a little bit strange. Let's try a different one. That looks different than the last time I thought of that or checked that out. I'm gonna scale this up a little. Okay, let's grab this guy and copy him. No, that was too big, huh? A little bit smaller. And this time I'm just gonna choose bevel on all sides. See, that's more what I expected. But anyway, something weird's going on, but I'm not gonna worry about it. But that's bevel, where each corner is beveled off. And yeah, that's what that one looks like. Let's grab it again and go down here and go, let's select round, and that's round. So now the corners are rounded. Yeah. You can also do dashes, right, on these strokes. And I think some of you guys have already done that. I've seen it in some of your exercises. Let's copy that guy. And then let's go here, and then dashes are right there, right? So you type, like, let's do 15, 30. And what that is the space between and how many there are. So I think there's 30 and they're 15 apart, if I'm not mistaken, if that's how it's working. But you can still change the ends and stuff like that, but that is dashes, and you can do some pretty cool stuff that way if you want. And obviously you can set the different ends on different corners. If I take this guy, I think we're ready. So let's go into edit mode. And then I'll take this one and I'll set it to miter, and this one is round, and this one is, yeah, different. So you can set them all differently if you want to. The other thing I was going to show you, the stroke, where the stroke is located right there, right? So you could say center, so the stroke is centered on the path. You can go inside, so now the path is on the outside, and you could go, that was inside, and then you can go outside. So it does look quite a bit different, right, depending on where that stroke is, if it's sitting inside the path, on it, or outside of it. So that is located right there. And you guys know, if you don't want to see the stroke, you can hit the eyeball. You knew this. And then you can hit the minus to get rid of it. And I haven't really been talking about styles, but you could save a lot of this stuff as styles, which is right there. And you could apply it pretty quickly that way, but maybe we'll see that later, or maybe you've already played with it. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Wanted to show you this. So if I zoom in here, Shift 2 to zoom in. Oh, that's too close. That's always a little too close for me. It's intimidating. So I wanted to show you the scale tool versus just copying it or dragging out. Yeah, anyway, what does that mean? Let me take this guy and option and drag. So we got to copy that, right? If I just drag this out and hold down Shift to make sure it stays a circle, right? So the circle does get bigger, but the stroke doesn't scale with it. So that kind of changes the ratio, right? Like maybe I want a circle that has a certain width relative for the stroke to the fill, and now it's kind of different, right? It's different. It's not just scaled. So let's do it a different way. I'm going to grab this guy again, make another copy. This time I'm going to use the scale tool. So I hit K on my keyboard, or I go up here to scale right there, up in the top left, right? And now if I grab it, oh, I lost it. There we go. It scaled it, right? So now the stroke got bigger along with the circle. So it's the relatively, the ratio is the same, the radius of this versus the radius of that. You want to get all like geometry out. So yeah, so remember that will happen. Okay, so let's do, and for some reason I was thinking about Carl's Jr. and I used to go there a lot, but yes, I know it's horrible. Well, I shouldn't say that. Some of you guys might work for Carl's Jr. I should say that. I love Carl's Jr. But anyway, I wanted to show you how I could do how you could do different corners, border radiuses on different things. So I'm going to grab the star tool, drag out a star. That looks kind of like the Carl's Jr. guy. I don't know if he has a name or not. That looks about right, right? And then I'm going to fill him with his fill color. And then I'm going to stroke it with the same strokey color. There we go. Oh yeah, it's a 1 pixel, that's why. So yeah. Something like that, right? So now if I go up, you guys know this, that if I look over, we've seen this before, but if I go over here, I can change the ratio. I could change the border radius there, and I can change the count. The count's 5. So if I go border radius red, I can make that kind of rounded like Carl's Jr.'s guy. I don't know what his name is. And that's fine, that's good. But what if I want a different one on one of these corners? So I can hit enter to go into edit mode, and then I'm going to grab this 1 point. So I just clicked on it, right? And then I go over here to border radius, and I'll go 0. And now that point, now that's more vivacious, I think. He should have been doing that, like pointing like, hey, go to Carl's Jr. See, I should have designed that logo for them. Make that a little bigger. So I changed 1 corner is all I did. That's what I wanted to show you. All right, moving on. Deleting a point. So you can delete a point, obviously. So if I click on this guy and hit enter, if I click on this point and delete it, whoops. Yep, there we go. And I'll hit delete. So it deletes that point with that segment, obviously, right? So that's gone. You can select it and delete a point. I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Or if I go here, right, and delete that one, then there's two segments on the side. If I go like this, and you can select points that way by clicking and dragging around. If I do that, then all that stuff goes away. So obviously you can delete points, right? Same thing, I think here. So let me get out. I think I already did this, but if I, yeah, I just did that. If I hit delete there, it deletes all those, right? You see that. Okay. But you can also do something like this, right? So let me get out of this. I'm going to go over here. And I don't know why that one's thinner. Let's make it thicker so you can see. If I hit enter and then I select that and I do shift delete, it doesn't get rid of the path. So that is delete and heal. I think that's what they call it. So let me do that again. I'm going to zoom in, show you guys. So I select that 1 point, right? Or whatever point I want. And now if I hold down shift and delete, it does not, the segment doesn't go away, but the point does. And so these guys get adjusted, right? So if I look back at this one, these are just corner points, right? There's no Bezier handles on this thing. And if I wanted to make it a Bezier handle, I could hold down, or I could get the bend tool and grab it and make a Bezier handle, but it's a corner point. There's no handles. There's a handle on this one because that's where the curve is, right? Now on this one, let me escape this one. Now on this one, these do have handles. So it's pretty amazing. It kind of figures out like, okay, if I don't have this point, this one, what do I do? Oh, I'm gonna have to adjust these guys, and it basically looks the same, right? So you can get rid of points, is the long story short on that one. Maybe not as exciting as I made it sound, or maybe it's even more exciting. I don't know. Okay, so joining 2 points. So if I grab this guy or I grab all these by selecting like that, hit edit mode, and then I'm going to grab these 2 points and do Control or Command J. You'll see that it joined those 2 guys. So yeah, that's what makes sense, right? Command J to join. But you can also say join in different ways. So let me get this guy. Get out of that one. Okay, so I'm going to select these 2 points. And there we go. Select those 2 points. Command J. Command J. In the wrong keys. There we go. Command J. So it just connects them directly, right? So I'll undo that. There's also smooth join, and I didn't mention this, but under vector are all these commands here over here on the left. So it says, I can't zoom there. It says vector, there's join selection smooth join, and we did this already, and we did that already. This is smooth join, which is a radio station. Smooth join, it's like smooth jazz. So I'm gonna say smooth join selection, and look at that. So instead of going straight across, it kind of continues the path and makes a smooth curve around there. So I'll undo that. So if I do Command J, looks like that. Or Command Shift J, looks like that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so don't forget about that one. That can come in handy for sure. So I wanted to show you, so I thought I'd make this map pin, right? This is just a picture of it. And then show you how you can get out of a union. We're gonna do a little bit of Boolean here too, but I wanted to show you this sort of a side note here. So I'm gonna make a circle, right? And it doesn't matter what color it is, right? And then I'll make another circle. So I'm hitting O and making another circle. And we'll put them in the middle, maybe a little bigger, right? I can hold down Option to go from the center and Shift to make it sure it's a circle, something like that, right? And then if I hit Enter mode, you'll see there's already a point down here. It's pretty easy to do this, kind of crazy easy. You just grab this guy and drag, whoops, I lost it. Grab this guy, and I just said it was easy. There we go. Grab that guy and drag it straight down. And then you've got, that's probably too far, right? Got that. And then if I hold down Option and Command, I convert that to a point, and there's your map pin, right? Now, if I grab these two, all of it together, let me get Escape. There we go. So I'm just grabbing them and close. There we go. I'm going to grab both of these guys selected, and I go up to my Boolean operations, which we'll look at again in a minute, but I'm going to go subtract. And now I got my map pin with my hole in the middle, right? Because I wanted that. And you can still apply a stroke to it and, you know, make it look cool like that. So that's great. But what's cool about that is, and I think I showed you this already, but I want to remind you because it's kind of important. So over here, I go to subtract. It's like a special kind of group. If I open that, you can see the ellipse and the circle. Well, they're both ellipses, or they're called ellipses. They're both still in there, right? I can still grab one like this guy and move it around, right? They're not like, it's live still. It's all live. So you can still mess with it. Maybe I think the circle's too big, so I'll make it a little smaller, stuff like that, right? Also, you can get out of this thing if you want to. If I go to subtract, click on it over here, and it's a little bit confusing, but basically you ungroup. So if I right click and say ungroup or Shift Command G, now they're back to two pieces. They're not a minus, or they're not a subtract anymore. So now you've got just a gray ellipse. Gray circle, that's not an ellipse, and then the other guy back there. So I'm gonna undo that because I like it this way. So anyway, I thought that was cool to show, and then yeah, anyway. I think we kind of went over this already a little bit, but we'll do it anyway. So I'm gonna grab this guy, hit Enter, and then what I didn't show you, I think, was the paint bucket, which maybe you've seen before, right? I can hit B on my keyboard, and let's change this color. And then I hit B, and I can click on that to add or subtract the stroke. Oh, sorry. What did I do? There we go. The fill, right? So I'm in the paint bucket tool. If I click, it goes away. And if I click again, it comes back. And I don't know why it's coming back as gray, but that's basically what you can do. But that wasn't the main point of this. The main point of this was the bend tool again, and I just want to make sure that you guys got that. So if I hit the Command key, I can grab these corners. I can also grab the ends of this guy, right? And then if I hold down Option and Command, you saw that I can break them here. I already showed you that. Yeah, I already showed you all that. Why am I being redundant? I don't know. Okay, let's do something a little more fun and practical. So I've got this Orion, which is a constellation. I think you can see it all the time, pretty much in North America. So this is where vector networks are good, because this would be a little funky in Illustrator because these would be all these separate parts. I think it'd be a little funky. So I'm gonna hit the pen tool, and you guys can do this with me, but I'm gonna just click on the stars. It's like connect the dots. We're back in kindergarten. And then I can go hit escape, because I don't want to make a line from here to here, but I can go grab my pen tool. Oops. Oh, it's kind of weird. The circles look like the stars. So I'm gonna go this way. What's going on here? Let me zoom in. Okay. Okay, I've selected that. Now I'm gonna go to the pen tool, and there we go. It was just, okay, I'm gonna go that way, hit escape, and then I hit escape twice, which was dumb. Hit that guy again, pen tool, that. You know what I've got to do is make this stroke bigger. There we go. Now I couldn't see what was going on. Okay. Let's grab the pen tool again. You can fast forward through this or do this faster than me, I bet you. And then I'm hitting escape to kind of start in new directions. And escape, and then boom, there we go. Orion drawn. Did you guys ever notice that Orion doesn't have a head? What kind of good warrior doesn't have a head? He lost something, I think. Anyway. So there's Orion, so I'm gonna hold on Option and drag him over here. And I can still add a fill, right? So let's make him have a, I don't know, something like that. So now you got to fill inside of there. A cool little thing is you can do Shift X, just a shortcut that might come in handy someday. Probably not. Shift X will swap the stroke color with the fill color. And I just like to do it really fast and pretend I'm at like a disco in the 80s or something. That's not fun. Okay. All right, we are getting there. Sorry, this is getting long again. Every time I think it's not going to be. So I'm going to copy this guy, and I wanted to show you this cool thing. Let's make this a little bigger so you can see it, right? So you can shift command. Well, let's just go this way. Let's go outline stroke right here. Outline stroke is Shift Command O, and I left out the O up here. I was like, why does that say Control 2? Should be O. I'll change it, hopefully. So I'm going to say outline stroke, and it looks like nothing happened, but if or maybe nothing did happen. No, it did happen. There we go. So I hit that, and now instead of this, let me get out of this. Right, so now you've got these paths here. Let me scale this so we can see better what's going on. There's a point, right, on each of those paths, but now if I look at this guy, let's actually undo. So I can make it bigger. I think I've gone too far forward in time. Anyway, okay, you get the idea, right? So you can see the stroke now has been outlined, so that's kind of like an Illustrator too, right? So now I could, if I wanted to, I could grab these guys and change the shapes inside or whatever, something like that. I don't know why, but yeah. So that's cool. And that also works on text. Again, like Illustrator, Photoshop, stuff like that, right? So let me get out of that guy. If I take this guy, let's just copy it. And then let's do Shift Command O. And now if I hit enter, you can see all those points are there, right? So I could, I don't know what I want to do with this. I'm going to grab these guys and grab, oops, try to grab those. Oh, I need to zoom in more. One thing with strokes is you end up zooming in a lot. Okay, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to grab these two guys and go that way. And I'm going to grab these two guys and go that way. I don't know. Does that look like Orion's face? Probably not. He doesn't have a face. He doesn't have a head. We just established that. Anyway, you get the idea, right? So you can do that with text to, do logos and stuff. You can start with a font and then basically create outlines in like Illustrator it would be, right? And then do that. So Great, right? So let's do one more little example of an icon in the middle here, and then yeah, we're almost done, I swear. So this works better with a grid. So I'm going to hit F because I need a frame for this. I'm going to hit F and make a frame, and then I'm going to make this thing 500 pixels wide and an even number, and it doesn't have to be that big because I can zoom in here. I'm zoomed, you know, this is a pretty big file. So I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to go over here and make a layout grid, and I'm going to make it 50 pixels. That's just so I can have some centers and things. This will make this a little bit easier. So I'm going to make a an envelope. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, do the base of my envelope. What color should we make our envelope? I don't know. Envelope color, what, doesn't matter. Okay. So then I can hit enter mode, right? Now I've got those corner points again, and I can hit my pen, and I can go here and then go there, right? And then I'll go there. And then I'll go there. Okay. So now I got that, and let's make that, let's add a stroke to that and bump that up. There we go. And then I still need, that's a little thick, but whatever. And then I'm going to hit enter mode again and get my pen tool and go here. And this is where the grid comes in handy because it'll kind of snap. Actually, not snap. Or is it? Let's just do 45. I'm doing 45 degrees to make it simpler for myself. And then I'll go here and hold down 45, and then, yeah, there. That's good. Yeah, there we go. There's our envelope, right? Why did I make it a mauve envelope? I don't know. But yeah, so that's another benefit of sort of the vector network thing is you can connect all these things together pretty easy. I could have done that. You could have done that way faster. Okay, so another cool little thing. People think like, oh, how can I skew something, right? And this may come up, right? So I'm going to copy this guy. There's a plugin for this. It doesn't work directly out of Figma, but if I install this plugin, it's called SkewDat. There's probably more, but I'm going to go to right-click, plugins, and SkewDat, and then you get this guy here, and you can skew stuff to your heart's delight. And I'll say apply, and now it's in there. If you want to get rid of it, you can go to plugins and SkewDat again, and you can say reset, and it'll go back to normal. So yeah, if you need to skew something, which does come up, there you go. Corner smoothing for iOS. This is a little trivia kind of thing, but some of the iOS stuff has some people call them, I think, squircles. I think I heard somewhere. They're like square circles. They're not exactly rounded. They just have different corners. It's pretty subtle, to be honest. It's just Apple messing with us, I think. So you can do this with corners. This is just an image of the control. But so if I make a circle, let's just make not a circle, a rectangle. So I'm going to make a rectangle. It's square right now. I make a square, right? And then I can go to corner radius, and that's not exactly the same as it may look on iOS. So up here in the right up here under the sort of advanced options for border radius, you have corner smoothing, and it even has a little thing for iOS, like a guide, like, oh, I'll put it here. And I don't know if you guys can even see that. It's pretty subtle, but it changes it kind of changes. It's not a smooth arc is what's going on. It kind of changes. Yeah, I don't know. Let me zoom in even more and see if you can see it even happening. Yeah, you can see that. Look over here while I do this. Look over here, you're getting sleepy. So if I go there, that's supposedly the way that iOS does it. Wow, that's impressive. But anyway, it could come up if you're doing icons for sure. iOS icons, there you go. So I wanted to just review real quick Booleans, couple of other things about Booleans, and because people get confused about how they work, right? So if I select both of these guys, the way you can think about this working is the white part is what you're going to get at the end. So if you use union, you're going to see that. The white part is what you're going to end up with. So let's just try that. Let me zoom out. So I'm going to do these two and do union. And another thing I wanted to mention is the union takes the fill from the top layer. So if I grab this guy and move him up, remember I can go command right bracket. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I'd say command right bracket to move the layers up. So I could drag them over here, but a shortcut is command right to go up and command right bracket to go up and command left bracket to go down. So I'm just moving those up. So I'm going to put the square on top and then select both of these. And if I go union again, see now it took the blue because the square was blue. If I did it the other way, it would have been yellow. So let's put that guy back on top and do the union, and now it's yellow. Fascinating, but that's how it kind of works. So that is union. Let's actually change that to subtract. So subtract is going to cut out a piece of the bottom layer from the top layer, right? So that's subtract. And then the next one is intersect. So that should be this center part, right? That's what's white. And then the last one is, and you guys already saw this, I think, exclude. That means the out here is going to be what's left over. There you go. Oh, it's a multi-knot. This is kind of funny. I ran into this. It's kind of cool. This is a union, right? Let's do it. Let's do it ourselves. I'm going to delete it because you guys will have to do it on your own. So I'm going to make a circle and then another circle. Overlapping, right, or something, whatever. And then I will go put those together, select them both, go to union. Now they're both one. And the border radius still works. This is it's just kind of fun. Sorry. Click here, and then I'll put like a big border radius, like 20 or something. And it's like a blobby kind of amoeba thing, right? Look over here in union, right? I can still grab these guys and move them separately. Look at that. Kind of like, that's cool. That's like a video game. We should make a video game out of this. I don't know. I'm easily amused, I guess. Okay, I think that's... oh, one last thing. This is a pretty good tip too. There's no mirroring per se in Figma, but let's say I'm going to grab my pen and I'm going to kind of make some, I don't know, some vase-y weird thing. Sure. Okay. Sure, I made that. I don't know what that is, but what you can do is you can make this into a component. Bear with me on this. I'm going to make it into a component. Remember that's up here. So I made it into a component. Now I'm going to copy it so that it's right next to it, right? And then I'm going to go to flip it. So you can go to edit, and I think it's under edit, or is it under object? See, now I'm forgetting where stuff is. Oh, there it is, object, flip horizontal, which is Shift H, or flip vertical, Shift V. I'm going to flip it horizontal. So now they match up, right? But now I want to play with this and have it do the same thing on the other side. This is pretty sweet. If it works, we'll see if it works. I'm going to hit enter mode. So this is, remember, this is a component and this is an instance, right? So if I change this one, it's going to change this one. So I'm going to grab this, let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see better. I'm going to go to edit mode. Oops, I got to grab this guy. There we go. Got the edit mode. Now I'm going to grab the bend tool. Check it out. So it's mirroring, right? Let's say it's going to be something like that. I don't know what that is. Or if I want to say, I want to change this. Or I want to make it flat on the bottom, whatever. So I'm changing this. And even though this is flipped, it's still referencing this other vector. So now we got kind of cool symmetrical mirroring. I don't even know if you can do that live in Illustrator. Maybe. Don't know, actually. But that's pretty darn cool. So it's kind of a hack, right? Why would you want to make a component to do that? But it works. So anyway, The last thing is I'm not gonna actually show you this. I was gonna go through making Cartman just to practice with some of the tools and things, and I didn't really show you the pencil tool. But the pencil tool is underneath the pen, right? And the pencil tool is kind of for scribbly kind of drawing stuff. And that's what I drew like the hat with and things like that. One thing that's different about the pencil tool is when it remembers the style that you used, I believe. So, but actually, yeah. So there's the style, right? There's the stroke. I think it remembers. Let's try it. So I just bumped it up and I'll change the color. All right. Maybe this is wrong. We'll see in a second. So I'm going to grab the pencil tool again. Yeah, see, it remembers. So other tools kind of don't remember things sometimes, I think, but the pencil tool does. So anyway, I use the pencil tool up here on the hat, and I think maybe on these guys on a chin. So if you don't know what Cartman is, he's a character from South Park, which is a very offensive cartoon that you should probably watch. But yeah, so I did this in Figma from a drawing, or I imported an image of Cartman. So anyway, maybe I'll make it a thing where you guys can draw a cartoon character in Figma just as a test or kind of an exercise. But anyway, I'm going to stop there. This is way too long. Sorry about that. But hopefully that helped a little bit, and I will talk to you guys again later.